Welcome back to Forever United TV, everybody. Your evening updates, everything around Manchester United. Got you covered completely. There is a ton to get through. I want to talk about Rasmus Hojlund. I want to talk about Manchester United moving on with their exits and moving fast. But as always in this transfer window, we've been bombarded with updates and more news. So just want to keep you up to date with what has just dropped over the last 10 minutes regarding Bryan Mbeumo, first of all, so you're completely up to date. And then we'll discuss that again a little bit later on in the show, obviously giving ourselves a chance to talk about the incomings as well and what's actually happening. But just so you're completely up to date with everything that is happening with Bryan Mbeumo at the moment, the publications and media close to Brentford have been talking, which is why we're probably bringing this one up more than anything. Some local papers you could probably ignore sometimes, particularly the Manchester ones at the moment. But Manchester United are close to agreeing a deal to sign Bryan Mbeumo. At the moment, Manchester United's second bid, which has gone in, is officially worth 55 million guaranteed and 5 million in add-ons for Bryan Mbeumo. So that's the actual numbers that are down. Manchester United want to pay 60 million, according to sources close to the Brentford side of things. So that's where we're at with the actual fee, and what hasn't been rejected, by the way, and that's 2 days in now from this bid going. So we can be comfortable that Brentford are just negotiating the details, and they do go into that in this report, saying Brentford are hoping to negotiate easier add-ons and are prepared to entertain a bidding war for their star forward. So basically, they're trying to just get them little bits of add-ons on again. It's just a formality in terms of what is happening here. It's a little bit of a message to Manchester United that they're not going to give up their star player easy. They haven't rejected the bid, though, and that's the biggest thing. So Manchester United have made the add-ons difficult to get, and Brentford just want to try and renegotiate them in and get them a little bit closer to what they think is accessible throughout the season. And I think that's what the hold-up is now. In terms of minor details, that's where we're at. In terms of Manchester United getting hold of Bryan Mbeumo, still very, very confident that this deal will be over the line very, very soon, and he will be in pre-season with Manchester United. So that is the update on Bryan Mbeumo and where we're at with him right now. We're going to talk about that, obviously, a bit later on as well. I've got a feeling there'll be a few more stories and little reports coming out from that from other major media outlets as well throughout the night. So if anything does drop while we're talking, we'll bring that into the show. But we want to move on to, obviously, the outgoings as well. And you just see me covering Casemiro this morning and Jadon Sancho at lunchtime. Jadon Sancho is a huge one for Manchester United, and this is moving very, very fast to a point where we are now hearing that Jose Mourinho himself has actually spoken with Jadon Sancho directly on the phone. And where we're up to with this, it's interesting because I'm just going to go through it now. Manchester United, first and foremost, this was from Marco Alcaraz earlier on, will accept a bid of around 20 million for Jadon Sancho. They're not going to make this difficult for anybody to sign him from their side of things. It's the personal side which is going to be complicated. Oh, well, we thought it was going to be complicated. Manchester United's 30 million price tag for Jadon Sancho is seen to be fair by Fenerbahce, Permi and Rudy Galletti. That was a report earlier on coming out from Rudy Galletti's side of things. Talks between Turkish side and Sancho have started in May, and so this has been going on for a while. Now they're working on a salary demand of 10 million a year. Now this has moved on again from that point. So the original price that United put in, pretty much like Brentford did with Mbeumo, was a bit higher, but we knew that United would take a cut price on Jadon Sancho just to get him out of the door. The latest on this from Ben Jacobs today, later this afternoon, is Fenerbahce are pushing to sign Jadon Sancho and are prepared to pay Manchester United winger over 8.5 million in salary per year, which works out at around £165,000 per week. Jose Mourinho has held a direct call with the player. Now that is where we're up to. So that is approximately 25 grand more a week than what Chelsea were prepared to offer Jadon Sancho. It's getting closer, and Jadon Sancho is fully on board with this. We had another report after my midday show on Jadon Sancho on this on this sale of Sancho from Manchester United, coming out saying that this is actually fully genuine with Fenerbahce now. They are all in for Jadon Sancho. He wants a winger. They need a winger. Jose Mourinho, that is, in Fenerbahce. And Jadon Sancho is going to be playing Champions League football next season. Again, Like, this is all falling into place for Jadon and what he wants personally. And I think that's the biggest thing here in this, is that it's suiting him, because he's never going to do Man United a favour. And I think Manchester United have learned. They've learned from before. I think they know, and don't be surprised if this happens with other players that we're looking to move on throughout the window. They know that Jadon Sancho is going to kick up a stink at any point he can. He isn't going to help this club out in any way. And we are just hoping that we can do our part. And Manchester United see their cut price offer for Jadon Sancho, the right amount to obviously subsidise what high wages Jadon is demanding. So they know that Jadon wants bigger wages. He's not going to buckle on that. That's the word and that's the message from Jadon Sancho. That's what we reported the other day. And Manchester United's price tag, 30 million starting out, is, and always will be, willing to drop that. And 20 million with the 5 from Chelsea already is more than enough for United. They feel like the 20 million is fair and does help the club that is buying Jadon Sancho to then work out a package for his wages, and it works out in terms of financial fair play a lot easier, because you've knocked a good chunk off the actual valuation of the player. He's 25. He should be a player in his prime right now, and this is why it's an opportunity for clubs as well. Someone like Jose Mourinho would love a challenge like this to take Jadon Sancho away from Manchester United and prove that he can be a player for him. I don't know how this relationship is going to go. I really don't give two flying F-bombs about how Jadon Sancho gets on at Fenerbahce. All I care is that this is signed, sealed and delivered, and we don't have to think and talk about Jadon Sancho ever again. But it is moving very, very quickly now from Fenerbahce's side. They are moving quick, reportedly, because they know that there is serious intentions coming from Italy. And Juventus and Napoli are reportedly today holding talks again with Jadon Sancho's agent. So don't be surprised if something else then jumps back at us again from the Italian side, probably tomorrow. And let's see if that does actually come around, because I think this is the exact scenario that United were praying for. 3 teams, all in the Champions League, all bidding for Jadon Sancho. Obviously, that makes the price go up a little bit. So if Jadon Sancho is going to get a better bid off somebody else for his wages, then obviously Manchester United have set their price. Does that price then go up? If Manchester United agree a deal with Jadon Sancho, with Fenerbahce for Jadon Sancho, and obviously then Jadon Sancho, I think, because the story is today as well, sorry, I forgot to bring it in to explain this better. Fenerbahce's offer is the highest that he's had so far when it comes to his personal terms. So someone's got to beat that. I don't think they will. They may be giving him incentives, but honestly, right now, Jadon Sancho under Jose, I can see Jose getting his claws into him and getting him over there. He'll be bigging him up, saying you're going to get the big fanfare at the airport and everyone's going to love you. You're going to be part of a massive football club, which is over there in Turkey. I can see this now moving towards Jose. I think it's perfect for Jadon Sancho, by the way. And hopefully Man United can see this through now, because I think this is falling right into play now, into place for United to get this finalised. And it would be a massive, massive bit of progress for Manchester United this summer. One of the big ones out of the way is edging ever closer to Jadon being finally finished at Manchester United. That is great news for the football club. It really is. I'm going to talk about the Rasmus situation first, and then we'll get into the comment section next on this, everybody, as well. But wanted to update you on them two, because they're the two hot topics at the moment in terms of Manchester United news that is coming out in the last hour. So you're completely up to date with that. We'll touch back on that again in the chat a little bit later on. But let's get into the other story as well, which came out from Marco Alcaraz regarding Rasmus Hojlund and what is actually happening with him right now. So what I'm going to do is going to bring this story up quickly now so you've got it and I can read it out to you and what he's actually saying. Inter Milan this week will resume talks with Manchester United over Rasmus Hojlund. They will also speak to Rasmus Hojlund's camp, with Inter now seriously evaluating him as a potential target. Manchester United will look to have a replacement lined up in case of Rasmus Hojlund's departure. Now, I was talking about Moise Kean earlier on. I'm not going to get into too much detail in this show on Moise Kean and United's approach that Damasio said we made on Saturday, weekend just gone. But go watch that video back after this one's finished. It's the Jadon Sancho video from earlier on today with Jose and Jadon on the thumbnail, so you know exactly which one. I'm thinking, is Jadon gone? Does this give us the room to buy a striker? That's the angle I was taking, because that does give United freedom to go out and buy a player as soon as Sancho's left. That's how important that deal is and how big it could be. But Manchester United, if we let Rasmus Hojlund go, would definitely mean that United needed another 2 forwards, which just excites the transfer window even more. So, where are we standing with Rasmus Hojlund and this interest from Inter Milan? Fabrizio Romano has also backed this claim and said that Inter Milan are definitely in for Rasmus Hojlund. They are talking to Manchester United to try and make a deal happen this summer. United are pushing the permanent deal on this one and trying to get Rasmus out of the door on the fee that they need to clear PSR. That's the only way United would probably negotiate for anybody taking Rasmus Hojlund this summer, which is interesting because obviously we would probably accept Rasmus going on loan, but United can't. By that I mean we can't let him go on loan because we're still paying for him and we haven't got a striker. So if we'd have brought a couple of strikers in, and Rasmus could have gone on loan. But at the moment, with us actually exhausting our finances for Brian Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha and not bringing that forward in, it's changed Manchester United's stance on Rasmus. So somebody has to clear that debt. Somebody has to clear Rasmus Hojlund's PSR instalments, basically, so we can go out and buy someone for the same amount as what we have done with Rasmus Hojlund. That, I think, is very clear in terms of what Manchester United's view on this is. Inter Milan are still pushing, and they will put the obligation in, is the word. But obviously, United need money now. We cannot lose a striker. As bad as Rasmus was, he's still a striker that can come in and do a job for Manchester United this season. And I think that that's where United's focus is. And it's sensible, I think, that we don't just let Rasmus go on a loan because we can get the money next season. We talked last night about Brian Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha, possibly taking turns in that number 9 role. And that could be something that Manchester United pursue throughout the season. But you need natural players up there. Ruben's system doesn't work without a striker. And where I believe in what Laurie Whitwell it was in The Athletic and what he was saying, like, yes, he scored against some big clubs, Brian Mbeumo, at 9 last season. His system doesn't work without that perfect number 9 in. That's why Gyökeres was key for him at Sporting. And that's how it worked. The 10s play a massive role on their own, and they're in supporting of the striker, but there needs to be a focal point and someone to take the pressure off and create that space for the 10s then. And if you can create something on your own as a striker like Gyökeres can, that's the type of forward that Ruben wants. And that's why I brought in Moise Kean. You could say he's the B-Tech version of Victor Gyökeres. He's nowhere near the same level. You could easily argue that point, but he's younger than Gyökeres, and he's just coming off the back of a very good season for Fiorentina. Maybe a similar age and experienced at the younger age in the Premier League failing like Gyökeres. I was saying this earlier on, actually, in the video. With Moise Kean there, maybe he is the right type of character in terms of the actual profile, like size, speed, hold-up play, big, good in the air, all of the attributes that obviously Gyökeres has got, but obviously not the same quality at the moment. But could he develop? Is he just about to become that next player and United get him at the right time? That's what was talked about earlier on. But that's interesting again. And this brings Rasmus back into the fold because character-wise and sort of look and profile, it looks like the right type of striker, but he's useless in front of goal. And I'm not saying that trying to be mean to him or anything. Always, like I try and explain, like I just know what I see, and you know that he's going to make the same mistakes again. He isn't going to change in one summer transfer window and one pre-season into this world-beating striker that Ruben can rely on next season, guaranteed. You know you've got your guarantees in Mbeumo and Rasmus and Matheus Cunha. You haven't got it in Rasmus Hojlund. You need somebody there to actually do that job for you. Look, the pressure is on. Everything that's been done this summer and everything that's been moved around is all going to play into the hands of Ruben Amorim. He's got what he wanted with the players he wanted out. United are going to deal with that. We're trying to bring in all the players that he wants, and he's bringing some quality players in at the moment. And if he doesn't succeed next season, he's gone. He's gone. He's finished at Manchester United. He knows this. And this is what I talked about constantly last season. He knows what he needs to do. And this is why this window is so important. So if you do get rid of Rasmus Hojlund, you need 2 strikers. You have to have the backup. Obi Martin is not ready yet. Chido Obi's not ready yet. He's not there. He can play a part maybe. But you need, I think, 2 experienced strikers. One might not be as good as the other, but still, this is why I thought Rasmus would stay. But with what Romano's saying, with what Alcaraz is saying, and Rasmus now looking like he's edging closer, if Inter Milan are really pushing on this and United demand the fee, are Inter going to go there? they do look like they want to take him in, to take him to Milan. I still, again, can't get my head around where they're at and what they see in Rasmus Hojlund, but they see something. They probably see the former Atalanta player that they came up against a couple of seasons ago. That's it. Because, yeah, he scored a few goals for Manchester United. 20-plus goals, I think, he's got in 2 seasons for United. And they're probably thinking that they've got a young striker there that they can just develop through then. Like we've said before, he is only young. So they're probably looking at a prospect to come through and work under and develop into a great Serie A striker, because he was all right at Atalanta. And I'm guessing that is what their thinking is. I can't think of anything else why he would want to be moving. I honestly don't think anybody would want... I didn't think anybody would want to take Rasmus Hojlund. And I thought we were going to be stuck with him. But this keeps on coming up all of the time. We know now that Napoli are going for Núñez from Liverpool. And that's looking close. Possibly. So that takes Napoli out of the equation, which we were speaking about the other day. Conte looking to maybe go for Sancho and Rasmus. It looks like he's going to lose out on both of them players at the moment because of Jose Mourinho and obviously their rivals Inter Milan. Now looking at Rasmus Hojlund in more detail. But Inter Milan have been the ones that have been there from the start of this transfer window, and I've been communicating with Manchester United throughout. That's what Romano has said. So this is starting to, obviously, as we edge towards July, gather more and more momentum now, and I'm starting to think that there may be a chance that Rasmus actually leaves Manchester United now. It's a crazy one. I've been trying to play it off and say that it's not going to happen, and then it just keeps on coming back up in the news. But it's coming back in more concrete talks than ever now, and I think we're getting to that stage where I think United are probably going to have to make a decision here. It's like if Inter do come up and say, there you go, there's the money, United have to get into serious gear in July, because we're heading into pre-season now. We know we are less than 2 weeks away from the players actually coming back to training. And obviously, as soon as July hits, can United get a deal done? This is why we're talking with all of these football clubs. And like Romano says, we're just in talks at the moment on the actual conditions of deals. You could bring in Ekitike into that scenario. Obviously, Moise Kean into that scenario as well. Other strikers we've been talking about. These are all players that Manchester United have just touched base with. And that's what the story was from Damasio about Manchester United talking about Moise Kean on Saturday. I'm fully convinced it's the profile of the player and what his characteristics are and what he actually does. I think it's looking more about what he does in a system for Ruben Amorim rather than his own personal record and how good he is individually. Right, let's get into the comment section on this now. We've talked about enough there. You're completely up to date with everything that is going down right now over the last couple of hours. And obviously we brought you the Rasmus Hojlund news as well. So pile in on Sancho, pile in on Mbeumo and that news that has just dropped. And obviously Rasmus Hojlund as well. Get into the comments section, everybody. Sub N with a super chat says that Jadon will fall out with Jose in 6 months. We're not bothered, mate. It is a permanent deal. And some people are actually saying, I think it was Mike McGrath early on was saying that they are still communicating with Manchester United whether to take a loan or not. Complete crap, because Mike McGrath was saying that Monaco have not been able to agree personal terms with Andre Onana earlier on as well. And Romano's come out and completely kiboshed that story. Instantly it is this afternoon. So whatever Mike McGrath was saying isn't true by the looks of it. It had gone cold a while ago between Monaco and Onana, and there was no personal terms being negotiated. So that story was complete and utter garbage, according to Romano. So, yeah, shut that down. McGrath saying that Fenerbahce are still trying to discuss a loan deal for Jadon Sancho. That has been shut down as well by Ben Jacobs, and where the negotiations are actually at with Jadon Sancho as well. So, yeah. I'm quite comfortable with where we're at with Jadon Sancho at the moment. I'm quite comfortable with where the negotiations are at. Let's hope that this progresses at this same pace now, going through this next week, and hopefully maybe by weekend we might actually see Jadon Sancho making a certain plane trip over to Turkey, to Istanbul, to maybe cross the T's and dot the I's. Oh my God, I'll be getting the bunting up. I cannot wait. I couldn't help myself from laughing when I was actually doing that video earlier on at Jose doing us a favour, a big favour. Honestly, brilliant is what I say. Odegaard, first of all, get Sancho gone. A man, absolute yogurt of a man. Cheers for that, Oddy. Leo, 15 months a member, legend. Inter want Rasmus on loan. We taking to Ram or left midfielder deal. I don't think United are going to let him go on loan, is my personal opinion. That's the story that has always come out, and Romano has been very, very strong on that as well. All the Italian sources have said the same, and they've backed Romano on the reports of Rasmus Hojlund in that it's a permanent deal, not a loan deal that they would take. It would have to be some suited-up loan deal for Manchester United to let Rasmus go at this stage. It really would, because we haven't got cover. You could say that Xerxes could step in, and we bring in another forward, but then you're banking on Xerxes and this centre-forward not getting injured at one point in the season. Was we not in the same situation last season, and we had no options going into the last few games, and it completely derailed us? We cannot allow that to happen again. That would just be absolute suicide for Manchester United. We need to make sure we have options there. And if Rasmus goes, for me, I mean, you tell me, can we survive with one striker next season coming in if Rasmus is sold? I think United need 2 strikers if Rasmus does go. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy for him to go, but I'm not happy for him to go if we haven't got anyone else coming in. I don't want to be left short again. And I know we haven't got European football. The rotation isn't going to be as much, but still, you could be looking at 40-plus games next season for Man United if we do well in the Cups. And the Cups could be an avenue into Europe for us, so we're going to have to go all out in the FA Cup next season anyway. So if you're looking at them there's another, 7-8 games there in the FA Cup, another 5 in the Carabao Cup. You could still be playing upwards near 50 games next season if we do take all of the Cups seriously. I think that's, realistically, is what Manchester United should be aiming for when it comes to the amount of games that we're going to be playing next season. And we need to have enough players to get through it. One striker isn't enough. Still suspect Sancho will only go out on loan. Why would he accept a pay cut next season? He would be out of contract and get a big signing on fee. Look, I don't know, but maybe he gets a signing on fee, but he gets crap wages elsewhere. This is probably going to be a big contract for a long period of time, and he will probably have bonuses and incentives in this, and they might be easy to get over in Turkey. Look, United have made it clear they want to concentrate on getting Jadon Sancho out on a permanent deal, and this is the only thing being negotiated at the moment. Fabrizio literally said that the deal is over 60 million, choosing between your source and Fabrizio. I'm choosing Romano. Which one is that? Mbeumo, mate? Yeah, it is going to be over 60 million for Manchester United in Mbeumo. This local source is just basically saying it's 55 down and 5 million in add-ons, but Brentford want to get them add-ons up. They want to make them easier and probably want to get more of them. They're happy to go, and the report from them was they're happy to go with the bidding war. There is going to be no bidding war because Bryan Mbeumo doesn't want to go anywhere else. And United are where Brentford need to be price-wise. So I'm not concerned at all. And you're always going to get the local papers and the local news talking about these deals. But reality is, obviously, the bigger reporters, the bigger journalists do know a lot more, and I've got a lot more contacts. And the one that I looked at before was Laurie Whitwell when he said Andre Onana has spoken to Bryan Mbeumo about the move to Manchester United. Laurie Whitwell was the one that broke Onana to Manchester United. He has got a big source, a big contact with Andre Onana, so he'd have been doing his digging from that side of things, and this deal is done. He's coming to Manchester United. There's no way that these journalists talk about this without it actually happening. Some of them will try and get a few more clicks by stirring the pot like we have seen over the last few days. But reality tells you when you start hearing Ornstein, Whitwell, Romano, Jacobs, everybody like this start to talk about this deal happening, we know it will. And if they want to negotiate them little add-ons, I think that doesn't really take too much time. Manchester United may have to pay a little bit more maybe up front, but they will spread the cost out through the instalments. If Brentford want it one way, United will take something the other way, and we've spoken about that before. It's tit for tat and normal transfer talk. And at the moment, without this being officially rejected, you know that these little things are being discussed and it's just being ironed out before we get there. Here we go. And Mbeumo's a Man United player. I'm opening up the chat to all of the topics, by the way. You can talk about Sancho, Rasmus Hojlund's move to Inter Milan, and of course, obviously, Bryan Mbeumo, like we said at the top of the show. Arsenal are now going for Rodrigo because he wants to leave, so ENQUIRIES is available. Different player. Apparently they're going for both, mate. So, yeah. That's not actually going to be a problem for them if they're going for Rodrigo. I don't think he's a striker, personally. He's not a number 9 anyway. And this would be typical Arteta. If he does dump ENQUIRIES and then goes for Rodrigo, it would be the perfect Arteta move in a transfer window. And where some Arsenal fans would actually be excited about that move because it's Rodrigo, there'll be some still saying, why are you not buying an actual number 9? You pleb. But, well, let them do themselves in. Let them do themselves in. While we're talking about that and getting your comments in and getting into the chat, we do have an update to bring you regarding Manchester United potentially moving for a new midfielder. Manchester United have expressed serious interest in Club Brugge midfielder Ardan Jazzeri. While AC Milan are also in the race, United are looking to step up their pursuit. However, Jazzeri currently views United as a less appealing option due to their current circumstances. Obviously, Club Brugge are in the Champions League. Why we go to AC Milan, who are nowhere near Europe themselves, I do not know. But I don't know of any other club in there at the moment. Roma have shown an interest in him as well. United are weighing up the move. It's approximately around the 25 to 30 million pound mark in terms of the valuation of him. And you may laugh off Club Brugge, you may laugh off their league and whatever, but they did well in the Champions League, getting into that playoff place. Obviously, they ran Manchester City very, very close as well in the early league phase of that. It's a very good team. Excellent team, in fact, and you've got to look at their players, and sometimes you have to think outside the box, like we've said. And this is now just another clear message, I think, from Manchester United's recruitment team that we are actually looking at a genuine holding midfielder again. Does that lead us back into the Casemiro talk that we were talking about this morning? Does that take us there in proving that United are looking and have got options of moving players on? And Jazzeri coming in could actually be a potential transfer for Manchester United. He's cheap again, and he is a holding number 6, out-and-out holding number 6. What that means for Manuel Ugarte, I do not know. I got no idea. But again, this is going to be, I think Bruno plays every single game, and somebody plays next to him. Who that will be, I do not know. Whether United are looking for someone to come in this season and put next to him, that's going to be something that develops, isn't it, throughout this window. Quickly, just on the Brian Mbeumo comments and what Ben Jacobs said earlier on, everything else comes second to Mbeumo finalising. So it's not like United are taking their eye off the ball. Every single resource that they've got right now is going into completing Brian Mbeumo, and then we're going to start to see everything else move forward quickly. Obviously, United can still communicate in outgoings and things like that, but we are looking like we are just trying to get that big one done over the line first, and then hopefully we do start to see movement in the outgoings, because that's the only thing it would seem that is going to bring in Manchester United's next incomings. So yes, good that we're hearing about Casemiro, Sancho, Antony, of course, as well. Rasmus Hojlund, didn't expect this one at all, but is big for Manchester United because of the value of Rasmus Hojlund. By the way, again, yes, rocking the retro trading top for Manchester United. Check out the link in the description and in the live chat. Some of the mods will drop that in for you there as well, and I'll pin it up, everybody. That's where I get my shirts from. Everyone's always asking me where I get my retros from and my kits from. That is the link in the live chats. That's going to be up in just a moment. So make sure that you do go and check it out to grab yourself an absolute bargain, people, because there are some cracking kits on there. There really are. Loads of new trading tops as well, and training tracksuits, which are good. And then the best retro range ever. Some new stuff as well in there, so go check it out. Vlahovic for 17 million, easy for a season or two. Bring in Luiz and Paulinho as well. Spend a big 8 next season. Spend money on the big 8 next season. We are not getting Rodrigo before anyone else. For anyone says, no, we're never going to go for Rodrigo. He wouldn't come to United anyway. I don't know why that's even been brought up, to be honest. But yeah, Leo, we do need to sort out a number 8 and a striker. I'm really interested to see where we go. All of the talk of Moise Kean, Alvaro Vlahovic, these types of strikers. I'm really interested to see which way United go, because we have to bring one in, don't we? We cannot let that go. Surely not. Anyway, we'll see, won't we? And thanks for that super chat, mate. And yet, the link is in the chat now, everybody, as well. So you've got it for the kits. So check them out. That is that link right there. Please do give the video a like as well, everyone. We're well over 400 likes now. Absolutely loving that. Keep your comments flooding in. If you haven't already, and you are joining us for the first time, wondering what this is and why everyone's happy, because we are positive here on Forever United TV. We do like to give everyone their say. It's not always full-on positive, but right now, I'm looking at the situation and thinking we're not doing too bad. And a lot of people agree. So if you love that type of content, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, everybody. Get involved. There's an interesting one there that someone's just put up in the chat that I had the note down of. And this is regarding Anthony Elanga. Yes, the former Man United player that's not going to really impact Man United at all, but is, because there has been a bid rejected from Nottingham Forest for 45 million from Newcastle. Now, it's significant because United have a sell-on clause for Anthony Elanga. And there's been a great tweet gone out. They want 60 million quid for Anthony Elanga. And that, I think, tells you everything you need to know about Manchester United, where we're actually at. And someone put out a great tweet earlier on. I'm just going to read it out now. And this is what it is. Forest are turning down 45 million for Elanga, while not a single club is willing to pay 40 million for Rashford, despite him being in the market for the last 3 transfer windows. It's time for this fan base to face the reality and acknowledge just how much they overhype average players. Anthony Elanga for 60 million. Nobody wants to buy Marcus Rashford for 40 million. That is a true reality. That's a great comment, that. That's an absolutely that's a banger, that. It really is. And that is a reality check. The fact that Nottingham Forest have turned down 45 million and no one's going near 40 for Rashford tells you everything you need to know about where Marcus Rashford's career has gone. That would have been unthinkable over 2 years ago. And now look where we are. One player is thriving. One player is really going to have to take a long look in the mirror and lower his expectations. Because on that Rashford side of things, Manchester United are hoping that Rashford does take a different perspective and a different look into the transfer window later down the line and lowers his expectations. That's the word coming out from Manchester United regarding Marcus Rashford at the moment. He does need to start getting a grip of where he actually sees himself. And where he sees himself, we all know, is Barcelona. Apparently, he isn't bothered about Nico Williams signing for them. He just wants to be a number 9 now all of a sudden, even though he's hardly ever played there. And again, United are probably going to play the long game with Marcus Rashford. It's going to drag out the whole window, unfortunately. They will not entertain any loan offer for Marcus Rashford until the latter stages of the transfer window, is Man United's stance. So if any player wants to kickstart their season and get going from the get-go, it isn't going to happen unless you play by Manchester United's rules. So I'm talking about Garnacho, Sancho, Rashford, Antony, maybe even Casemiro or Rasmus Hojlund if you want to put them in there. But the main four problems for Manchester United, who is Antony, Garnacho, Sancho and Rashford, if they want to kickstart their season and get going straight away, they're going to have to negotiate a deal that Manchester United can work with, because United will wait until the latter stages of the window. If they have to do an emergency loan right at the death, they will do that, and the player will definitely leave. But they are not going to buckle instantly to people offering crappy loans for their players. That's the word from United. That's what I think the Athletic were talking about this morning. They're prepared to wait. They're absolutely prepared to wait. And I think, in a way, as long as they don't get involved in pre-season, and Ruben can handle his preparations correctly and the way he wants to, then I haven't really got a problem with that. I just think, again, my biggest worry was Man United going back on pre-season and then having to go out on tour with all of these players still in tow. And it just put the fear of, oh, God, it put the fear of God in me, thinking that Ruben's got to deal with all that crap again. It's impossible for him to deal with that and have them players really, I feel, bringing that dressing room down and really affecting it, because that's what will happen. It is. And this is why it's absolutely huge news on Jadon Sancho. It's massive news. Absolutely. I said huge once already, but yeah, let's just call it big news. If he leaves, we can get a striker. Get it done. Honestly, that will be the big one for me. And even when we've done polls here on Forever United TV, it's always been Sancho at the top, hasn't it? It's always been him. We've got to get rid of him first. If we had to get one player gone, definitely, it would always be Jadon Sancho. And it does look like that is edging closer from them reports earlier on. And I'm praying everything. I'm praying when I wake up in the morning that deal is done, or we've moved a step closer, or Sancho's accepted some form of terms with another club. Come on, Jose Mourinho. Do your job, mates. Get in there and get Jadon Sancho out of this football club. This is your payback. This is what Manchester United fans, who still love you, by the way, quite a few of them, will love you even more if you get this deal done. That is 100% guaranteed, mate. You will go down in legendary status if you can take Jadon Sancho away from Man United. That's how important it is. Leo with a super chat. Adam, name 5 players you want to sign this window. And do you think the player power is coming to an end? To answer that question straight away, yes, I do. I think Ruben has got to grips with a lot of it. I think a lot of them are falling under that sword and that axe that he's wielding. In terms of the players I want to bring in, the 2 that are coming in, I'll take them 2. That's Mbeumo and Cunha. I would still go, I feel, for someone like ENQUIRIES, if we could get him. I know we can't get him now, so let's take ENQUIRIES out. If we're going with the reality of what's out there right now, at this point, I don't know with the striker. Honestly, I would still go and try and test Crystal Palace's resolve with Jean-Philippe Mateta. Look, he's not signed that new deal yet. So let's just go test the water. If we've got room, we can afford it, let's go and see what bidding for Mateta does. And that's a realistic one, I think, on that. So that would be your 3 front players. I would then go out and get Paulinho. That would be my midfielder. And get Martinez. That would be my 5 in goal. And you all know I would take the goalkeeper. On the goalkeeping side of things, earlier on, I touched on it earlier on, but some people have been talking about Onana rejecting Monaco's terms and conditions for moving to Monaco for next season. That has been completely blown out by Fabrizio Romano. That's not true. It had gone cold a while ago, and Onana is not going to go to Napoli, not going to go to Monaco. That deal is nowhere near even being thought about at the moment, according to Romano. So let's put that completely on the back burner. But there was a lot of news earlier on. I've done a show on Football Talks, actually, so you can go and check that out. On Football Talks, we was talking about the goalkeeping merry-go-round, and interesting how Diogo Costa would like to go to Manchester United, but he is massively expensive. There's a lot of stories pushing the goalkeeping side to Manchester United now going for a number 1 instead of a number 2. And I'm not talking about going to the toilet before anyone in the chat goes there with that one. Don't even go there. I know it's not even past the watershed. I don't know what I'm talking about. But no. Number 1 and number 2 goalkeeper. Manchester United, I think, are going to go for, I feel, a top goalkeeper. The way that the stories just keep on circulating and going round and round and round, and nobody's turning them down. No one's turning them away. Even the Athletics said today. Then the Mirror said today. Then Ben Jacobs said today about Emi Martinez pushing and pushing for Manchester United to come in for him. And even Ben Jacobs went down the road of saying that Manchester United now could possibly go for a number 1 and tell Andre Onana he's on his way. That could happen. And with the Athletics saying that as well, I mean, when they're talking about it, yeah, you could say it's agent-driven. You could say that they're the ones pushing it. But if Martinez keeps on at this, then, like you said, the smoke is going to eventually turn into a fire. And now you've got Diogo Costa, who is worth a fortune, by the way. His buyout is around about, I think it was about 51 million or something. I don't think United are going to buy any goalkeeper for 51 million. But it makes you feel like, I wonder what Man United's mindset is here. It's changed because we haven't got our striker target. Just out of curiosity, like the scenario popping up where United got Paulinho and they got Vlahovic in, a number 8 and a number 9 for what the value is out at the moment, 47 million for both of them players. you sell Sancho, you sell Casemiro, you get rid of Garnacho, Antony, and Rashford. United could go and blow the big part of that budget on getting a goalkeeper in. You don't know. I don't know. Like, we just know that United are scouring the whole of Europe and world to that point for an actual goalkeeper. So that could actually happen. So, yeah, don't count out the goalkeeper being spent a lot of money on. Atalanta's goalkeeper, Seki as well. He is a goalkeeper that Manchester United are looking at. He is going to be upwards of 40 million also. All of these keepers that United are being linked with are not number 2 goalkeepers. They're all ones. So there has to be something going on somewhere behind the scenes here with Manchester United pushing for a top goalkeeper. And just a little stories popping up here and there about Onana, even if they're not true, do actually start to make you feel and think like something is actually brewing. And I think that there could be a big transfer or a big announcement regarding Manchester United with the goalkeeping side of things. I think that's where this is leading to, personally. I think we are going to be looking likely to be going in for a goalkeeper. It's madness, isn't it? It's not madness, we need one. But in the situation we're actually in with this transfer window and what we actually need, I do feel like Manchester United may actually change tactics in this window. Now they know that they're not going to be spending a lot of money on a striker. Is the money going to be spent elsewhere? That's the question, I think. I think that's where I think Manchester United now and the heads are all around the table thinking about what we do. Let's not forget, Ruben Amorim will be back at Carrington before any of the players. So expect him in probably later on this week, I'm guessing, or definitely next week for turning into duties for his duties again. He'll want to be prepared. You know what he's like. He said he didn't want a holiday, didn't need a rest. He'll be fully in at Manchester United asking questions on where the transfers are actually at the moment. So, yeah, let's wait and see what actually comes about from that one. But I think this is just going to be a constant, ever-changing scenario for Manchester United now. And more news is just going to keep on coming out. In fact, I'm just going to double-check everything now to make sure that nothing has been missed. Just checking everything. Nothing else really dropping of significance. That is, I don't think, important for Manchester United. New midfielder targets. What do you think about the Club Brugge midfielder? What do you reckon for Manchester United in terms of possible or potential target for us? Let me know your thoughts on that one. Who is your midfield target? Just so you know exactly who we're talking about. It's Ardan Jazzeri from Club Brugge. He is their holding midfielder. Big contracts there, but apparently he's only going to cost around the 25 to 30 million pound mark. That number keeps on coming up in terms of how much Manchester United are actually going to spend. I think he has already actually turned down West Ham as well in the Premier League, so he is looking for a bigger club. AC Milan well and truly interested, but the word is he's not fully convinced by Manchester United and what their project is because of their situation. But then again, I wouldn't have thought that AC Milan's was any better than United's. I've said that earlier on as well, but yeah, I do believe that is where Manchester United are actually at right now. Douglas Louise for me, says Lee, to get Onana's feet moving, he's signed up for Strictly Come Dancing. We can just use the Inter Milan system with Mbeumo and Cunha up front and Bruno false 9. We will cook. Not going to happen, Nico. Not going to happen, mate. We know that Ruben's stubborn with his system and his formation, so you know that's not going to change anything. I can't see a world in where United don't buy a new striker. I don't. The other news, if you missed it earlier on as well, there is a chance that Anthony Elanga is leaving Nottingham Forest. They've already turned down a big bid from Newcastle for him. Just remember, Man United do have a sell-on clause in Anthony Elanga's contract, and that could kick in if he does move on. But we'll see if that one develops. Quickly as well, anybody who is watching the Club World Cup, it's Benfica versus Bayern Munich tonight, everybody. And of course, on a match day, just to spice things up again, because the games have been pretty dull by all accounts. I've not watched too many of them, to be honest, but our matchday partners, Match Bingo, are back in action with specials on this game tonight, so please do get involved. If you haven't been before, you're missing out completely. If you scan the QR code first of all on your screen, or drop into the description and click on the link on the Match Bingo link there, download the app. It's free to download. All you have to do then is download. Once you've downloaded it, deposit £5 as a new customer. That will then be doubled. You will get £10 on top. Buy Match Bingo as a new customer. And then if you buy 4 cards, special offer for these games, you get an extra card as well. So it's like getting bingo cards in a bingo hall, but instead of numbers coming out, you actually get match events, throw-ins, corners, goals, things like that. They all get ticked off on your card on the app for you as the game goes on. The game picks your cards. All you have to do is buy as many cards as you want for the actual game you're watching. 25 quid for a line. Again, you get 2 chances to win a line. If you do get all 15, you get upwards of 200 quid per game. Go and add a little bit of excitement to the games because they have been a tough watch. You are missing out if you haven't. Me and Kaz play along with these games all of the time. There's a few subscribers already on Forever United TV who have got Match Bingo. Download it. It is actually quite fun to play. It's funny actually as well because it feels like you're actually in a bingo hall while you're watching the football game, but waiting for something to happen, praying for a throw-in to come in a certain minute. It just adds a different element to it, but you've got to experience it first. So use my link there, scan the QR code, download the app, get onto the game, buy as many cards as you can. You have to be a UK resident, sorry about that, and over 18, obviously gamble aware, and make sure you spend to your own means. But that is it for tonight, everybody. Thank you to Match Bingo again, our matchday sponsors. Thank you again to all of the mods in the chat. Fantastic job. Please hit that subscribe button, everybody. You won't be disappointed. Bringing you completely up to date with everything going on with Manchester United. That's what you get in return. Pop a like on this video. I was going to read out Leo's super chat before we finish. Thank you, Leo. You absolute legend, mate. Costa for 51 million, question mark. Portugal #1 has Dalot and Bruno for support to get him, and why we're at it, take Porto striker as well. I know what you mean by that one. A shout out for the mods tonight. Great job, everybody. Thank you so much. And cheers for that super chat at the end there, Leo. Hit the subscribe button, everyone. Make sure that you give the video a like on the way out. And get your comments in below, please, on all of them topics. Sancho, Rasmus, Brian Mbeumo, Manchester United striker targets. What's happening with the goalkeepers, midfielders, everything you want to talk about, all jam-packed into that show there. Get your comments in below, everybody. I'm off to training now, so I will see you all bright and early in the morning. Unless, again, like it did last night, something happens, you might get an extra video. So keep your eyes peeled.